What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode with Win the Day with Jay. Man, I hope you guys had a fantastic Thanksgiving last week. I know I did. Look, let me tell you what. I loved spending time with my family, my friends, my loved ones. Fantastic time. But look, we're going to jump right in. Last week we talked about non negotiables, the anchors in your life, the things you commit to no matter what, the daily decisions that shape your identity. And today, we're taking that conversation one step farther because here's the truth: motivation will not save you. Motivation comes and goes, motivation is emotional, and motivation is inconsistent. But systems carry you when emotions don't show up. Systems are what take you from I want to change my life to actually living in that change every single day. And you might think, hey, Jay, look, this sounds a lot like non negotiables. Well, the non negotiables are a system. The title of today's episode is Systems Over Motivation. You know, motivation comes and goes. Just like I just said, it's emotional, it's inconsistent. You know, it it will only take you so far. But I'm telling you right now, this mindset changed my life when I started using systems over motivation to accomplish things. So, what's the problem with motivation? Let's start with the biggest lie people believe. I'll get it done when I feel motivated, or I'll get it done tomorrow. The reality is, no, you won't. That motivation typically does not come. And when it does come, it's not consistent. Motivation is like the weather. One day it's sunny, the next day it's tornado, kind of like Alabama weather here in Alabama, right? One day it's 75 degrees, 2 days later it's 35 degrees. Motivation is like a friend that shows up sometimes, but not when you actually need them. Think back in your life. How many times did you want to eat better? Did you want to work out? Did you want to get up early? And you didn't. Why? Why is that? It's because your feelings weren't there, and motivation is tied directly to your feelings. So, systems impact change. Motivation is tied to your feelings. This when I learned this, when this reality set into my life, when I had this epiphany that motivation is tied to our feelings, it started to make everything make sense. Let me tell you something real. There were days early in my journey where I woke up and I felt like absolute garbage. I had zero motivation, had zero energy. I didn't want to work out. I didn't want to walk. I didn't want to think about discipline. But here's what saved me: my systems saved me. The systems that I built and I put in place. And they were built and founded on my non negotiables. But I didn't feel like getting healthy. I didn't feel like walking 4 or 5 miles. I didn't feel like turning my life around. But the system I put in place didn't ask how I felt. It said, Jay, this is what we do. So pause right here and ask yourself, do you truly have systems in place where this is what you do? This is what I do as person X every day. And see, we talked about non-negotiables. So that's the foundation. That's the baseline for creating these systems. But those non-negotiables is that daily commitment and those daily promises and those daily intentional habits and all these things that create the systems. The systems is weeks and months of practicing those non-negotiables. So why systems win? Why do they win? Systems are more important than motivation. Let's break it down. Systems reduce decision fatigue. When you have systems, you don't have to waste energy deciding. You already know what time you're going to get up, what you're going to do in your workout, what you're eating, what your first win of the day is. Most people lose because they have to make too many choices. Hey, let's raise our hands if we've been in that boat before. If we set out to do these amazing things, we want to make this amazing transformation, we want to do this amazing change, but we have to make too many choices to get to that point But when you have systems in place, you don't have to make those choices. Systems remove the choices. They put the day on autopilot. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But systems make you consistent. Motivation makes you emotional. Systems make you consistent. You can't win by doing something once. You win by doing it daily, monthly, yearly, thousands times over and over and over. I was reading a story about Steph Curry. Steph Curry is one of the greatest shooters, pure shooters in NBA history. I'm a big Larry Bird fan. I like Jordan, Magic, Bird, that era. And I would tell you that Larry Bird was probably one of the best pure shooters. That dude, that cat would shoot and turn around and run the other way before he even saw a shot because he knew he was going to hit it. But Steph Curry is probably second to Larry Bird in terms of a pure shooter, in my humble opinion. Okay, Steph Curry didn't become this amazing 3-point shooter and set all these NBA records by not being consistent. He had a system. He made 1,000 threes a day. 1,000, not 100, not 200, not 500, 1,000 3-pointers a day. Pause right there. Think about that. Think about that. What are you doing 1,000 times over in your life where you are trying to impact change? Do you quit on time 5? Do you quit on the 8th time? Do you quit on the 10th time of failing? What is your threshold? 1,000 3-pointers Steph Curry made. He made. So that means he might have shot 1,500. He didn't quit till he made 1,000 3-pointers. Think about that. That consistent. Motivation makes you emotional. Systems make you consistent. You can't win by doing something once. You got to do it daily, monthly, yearly, the grind. When you show up every day, even if it's just 1% better, that's where that transformation happens. I read in Atomic Habits, James Clear talked about just getting 1% better every day over a whole year, then you're 33% better on that task. Think about that for a moment. Think about if you just said, you know what, I'm putting this, I have my non negotiables. We've established that. Okay, this is what I want to establish. This is my non negotiables. So, what is my system in place to allow me to accomplish these non negotiables every day? Systems create identity. This one right here changed everything for me. When you follow a system long enough, you stop doing it and you become it. My health coach, Christina, that I talk about a lot, she helped me identify like who I am, my identity. Jay, I'm a hiker. I'm an outdoorsman. I'm an athlete. That's who I am. If you'd have told me that 2 years ago when I weighed 360 pounds and I was hiking, I was doing some of these things, I was working out, but that wasn't my identity. Now that's my systems have made me become that. Think about that. Stop saying I'm trying to lose weight and start saying I'm a healthy person. You know, I would have these weekly sessions with my health coach. And Christina would always tell me, stop saying trying, Jay. Use your words wisely. Quit saying I'm trying. I'm trying. How many of you out there that are listening and watching this episode have told yourself, your loved ones, your spouse, your family, oh, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to be a better wife. I'm trying to be a better mother. I'm trying to be a better husband. I'm trying to read daily. I'm trying to pray more. I'm trying to do whatever. And start saying I'm going to. That's where change and transformation happens. But it's because that system creates identity. Stop saying I'm trying to be disciplined and start saying I am a disciplined person. I listened to a podcast with Jocko Willing. I don't know if y'all know who Jocko is. He's a uh, an incredible leader. He wrote the book Extreme Ownership, and he's wrote some other books. And he was task unit bruiser, Navy SEAL. This guy's a super accomplished Navy SEAL, Silver Star. Did all these battles, and he talked about discipline. He wasn't disciplined as a young adult and as a teenager, and he becomes one of the best Navy SEAL leaders in our history of our Navy SEAL. Think about that. He created discipline because he practiced it. He put systems in place. The Navy had systems in place to help him become more disciplined. Start telling yourself, I'm disciplined. I'm a disciplined person. Your identity changes because your system changed. So you might ask, Jay, this is great, right? We went over non-negotiables. We know that motivation comes and goes, and systems is what creates change. Well, what are your personal systems? All right. Let me take you behind the curtain a little bit and show you the systems that help transform my life. The first system is my morning system. My morning system is a whole system in itself. It's not just non negotiables. I do those things daily, but my morning system is a system. This is how I win the day before most people wake up. I wake up early when I don't feel like it. I hydrate immediately. I get my miles in, my prayer, my reflection, my non negotiables. I review them. And that's the first win of the day. By 7 a.m., I've already beaten yesterday's version of myself. And I know I have this win. 7 a.m., I'm rolling into the office, and I know I've already accomplished more than most people have even done in a whole day. That gives me pride. That gives me motivation that is lasting, that creates these systems. That gives me a level of just confidence because my morning system wins. It wins. It never lets me down. And I would be lying if I told you that I woke up every day and I felt like, you know what, I'm going to win. I'm going to attack this day. I'm going to do it, and my morning system's going to work. That's not always the case, but I have a system in place that I do it no matter what, no matter how I feel, no matter what happened the night before. No matter what's happening at 9 o'clock that morning, or 10 or 11 or 12, my morning system is part of my non negotiable foundation that helped me create this system that helps me win the day already. I post a picture every day on my Instagram story. Some of you that follow me might get tired of seeing my big old mug every day on Instagram. I don't do that as a boastful, prideful task. I do that as a commitment to myself to say, hey, I've created this system. Every single day, I'm looking at myself. I'm taking a picture of me and my buddy Chris every day, and I'm winning the day. I do that to motivate you out there watching and listening. That if Jaybird can go from where I was to where I am now by these non negotiables, by creating systems, by doing these things and creating discipline that led to confidence, that led to wins, stacking wins, hundreds of wins that led to this very moment. My next system is my health system. I don't try to guess at my meals. I don't wing it. I don't I don't go through the day aimlessly just like, oh crap, what am I going to eat today? I guess I got to go to Burger King. I need to go to Chick-fil-A. I haven't had fast food in over a year. I don't eat any fast food. My wife, I tell you, we just took a trip down to Jacksonville, Florida. I live in Birmingham, as you can see. I'm recording from the home studio today. Have my Birmingham sign behind me, but 7 hour drive from Birmingham to Jacksonville to my family's house. I didn't eat any fast food. I drank two Form energy drinks and ate a little protein stick, and I'm rolling. My health system, I don't guess. My system, it's a simple system. It's not complicated. I'm not the smartest guy. Okay. Look, I'm not a brainiac. What I lack in, intelligence, I make up for in grit, discipline, and determination. So my system and my health system is pretty simple. High protein, simple meals. I move daily. I track what matters, normally my proteins and my good fat, and I stay accountable. Stay accountable to myself, to my health coach, to tracking my food. I made this system so simple that I can't mess it up. I don't give a rip about macros and all the, look, some of you guys that are fitness models out there and, you know, competing in competitive bodybuilding and all that, you got to worry about your macros and different things. I tell people, everybody always asks me, Jay, what are you eating? Jay, what's your diet look like? Like, I don't have a diet. It's a lifestyle. It's a system. It's my health system. I eat tons of protein. I try to shoot for about 180 grams to 220 grams a day. 1.11 gram of protein per body pound of my desired weight. That's you can Google it, you can read it, you can chat GPT it, you can use Gemini, and everything you search is going to tell you that. So that's what I try to do. I keep it simple. I don't eat any carbs and I eat very little sugars. So when I go on long hikes, I'll eat some carbohydrates. When my body craves carbs, I eat them. But on a daily basis, I pretty much keep it simple: high protein, good fats, a gallon of water, and electrolytes. Not that complicated. But I made that health system where it would be so simple that I couldn't screw it up. Because I think so many times when we want to create these systems, we want to get so complex. You know, I'm a KISS guy. Keep it simple, stupid. That's how I live in every area of my life. And it's done pretty well. I know there's times where you got to be more detailed. There's times where you got to really put a lot of effort in some of those small details. But if you create these systems that are simple and that you can follow, they're sustainable. So that's the problem. I talk to a lot of people, and it's interesting. Diets are not sustainable. Extreme workout programs are not sustainable. Non negotiables are sustainable. Creating systems that are simple are sustainable. Um, there's a good buddy of mine, Nick, a great friend of mine. This guy is very methodical, very thoughtful, very, he's not a guy that just says words to say words. Some people just talk, and this guy's very thoughtful on his communication. And I've known him for going on probably 10, 11 years. Our kids played sports growing up, and he is super fit. I mean, when I tell you fit, I mean, I'm talking about 4 to 6% body fat, if I had to guess. And every year he keeps adding more muscle, more muscle, more muscle. He looks a lot different now than he did 10 years ago when I first met him, but he was still lean then. But he's got systems that are simple and that's consistent that now has made these huge results. And you look at him and you think, man, this dude is jacked. But it's these systems. It's the system. It's his health system that he put in place. Um, he came to mind when I was thinking about when I was preparing for this episode because there's certain people in my life that stand out. Just because I'm the one doing the show, right? I'm no expert in this. I just know what I've created that helps me sustain. And I know my systems that help me stay on the tracks, right? But I have friends like him, like another guy, Blake Prime, another buddy, Corey. And I mean, these guys, they have been fit for years, years, because they have systems in place. My next system is the mindset system. Here's something that surprises people: your mind needs a system more than your body does. You might think, hold up, Jay, hold up. You mean to tell me the mindset system is more important than the body system or in the health system and all these things? Absolutely. Because if your mind is jacked up, if your mind is not grounded, if your mind doesn't have a system, if your mindset system is not stable, it doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. So my mindset system includes things like affirmations. You might think, man, hold up, Jay, you're getting out there. Are we going to do yoga? No. Look, hey, laugh if you want. I'm just telling you what I do. Affirmations. I tell myself, you know what, Jay, you are fit. Jay, you are a beast in the gym. Jay, you're an amazing hiker. Jay, you're an amazing leader. Jay, you know what? You're an amazing father. You're an amazing husband. So there was times in my life where I didn't think I was amazing. And I don't say that meaning that I'm bragging or I'm not humble. I mean that like I'm affirming to myself of who I want to be based on all these things that I'm doing in life, based on these non-negotiables, based on these systems. And then my other mindset system is gratitude. That's one of my non-negotiables, but it's also part of my mindset system is I show gratitude daily. Daily. If you can't show gratitude, something's wrong with your mental part, with your mindset system. Something's wrong if you can't be grateful because we live in America. You know what? The worst off you have it in America is better than most people in other countries. So we have a lot to show gratitude towards. Scripture and reading. Reading my daily devotion, reading my scripture every day. That's a part of my mindset system. That is highly important to me. It not only feeds my mindset, but my also my spirit, man. Checking in on my purpose every week. I reevaluate. Hey Jay, are you walking in your purpose? Am I walking in what God created me to do? Am I walking in what I know that the Lord has put in front of me in life to accomplish? And then I review wins and losses. Man, I've had some wins doing this show, the Jay Bradford Show, Win the Day with Jay. I've had some wins and I've had some losses. It was a little bumpy first couple of episodes when my audio was jacked up one episode, the camera was messed up one episode. You know, uh, I'm learning, but I review those wins and losses, um, because your thoughts become your habits and your habits become your life. Let me say that again. Your thoughts become your habits and your habits become your life. Wow. If I could go back in time and tell my 25-year-old self that, there's no telling where this show would be right now. There's no telling where my finances would be. There's no telling where I would be in my health. But that's why I'm doing the Win Today with Jay, because I want to tell somebody these things. I want to inspire someone. My next thing is my environment system. This one's huge, huge. Your environment will either elevate you or suffocate you. I intentionally built systems around who I spend my time with. This is huge. Who I spend my time with. So evaluate, who in the heck are you spending your time with? And do they add value to your life? If they are energy suckers, if they are negative Nancy's, if they're, you know, just doubting Debbie's, don't spend your time with them. Look, I don't have time for negative complaining. If your friends are consistently talking about problems or other people in their life, they shouldn't be in your circle, because those friends are not going to elevate you. They're just going to bring you down. So I intentionally build systems around my environment. What I listen to, whether it be podcasts, music, people talking, rooms, TV, you know, I'm not trying to get super spiritual or religious at all, because I'm not religious. For those of you who know me, I walk with Christ. I want to be Christ-like. I want to be a disciple. I watch and I intentionally look at what I listen to, because I don't want to take in garbage. If you taking in garbage in these ears, and it gets in your brain, that's your environment, that's your mind, and then it messes up my mental system, right? So what I watch, what I see with my eyes, who I let speak into my life. I'm a very social guy. Those of you that know me, they're in my inner circle, I'm a social guy. I like to talk, I like to communicate, I like to have fun, I like to be around friends. But I'm at a point in my life where who I let speak into my life is very, very small. Very small. Because I realize not everyone is out for your best interest, and not everyone has the ability or authority to speak into your life. And I would not even listen to what anyone had to say if that person, I wouldn't ask for their opinion. You know, I could care less what Jimmy or Johnny say if I didn't care what Jimmy and Johnny said about my life. So evaluate that. My friend circle. This is really key. I have two sons. One's a senior about to graduate, go to college. Another one's in fifth grade. I tell them all the time, the five people you hang around, if you look at those people, that determines your life and your altitude in life. So who's in my friend circle? I have a very close friend circle, and I can tell you the people that are in my friend circle, they're amazing people. They're people that build me up. They're people that add value to me and my family. They're people that I love to be around. I'm not spending time around a bunch of bozos that I don't want to be around. If you're in my friend circle, that means you're in my environment system, and that means you're cultivating great things. That friend circle is huge because you can be in a circle where you think people are your friends and they're really not. They're really not. So really think about that. I've learned a lot in that area over the last 10 years. My hiking crew, that's my environment. I love my L&H hiking crew. Man, I mean, that is part of my environment system. These are some amazing people from all different walks of life that we all enjoy the outdoors. My work family, that's a part of my environment system. You might say, Jay, why do you say work family? Well, at work, you spend more time with your people in your work than you normally do your own family. I just recently had a huge milestone in my career. I retired from public education, being an IT director in 25 years. I retired. Now I'm going on to my next venture in life, another career, working in a private firm, doing some consulting. And I can tell you, 25 years being around those people that were in my work family, those are like family to me. I experienced loss with these people. I experienced a lot of joy, some suffering, some pain. So, your environment is important, but not everybody in your work is your family. So you have to identify who's your work family. My accountability partners. This is something that I urge you to have. Find an accountability partner. I don't mean a yes man. I don't mean a yes girl. I mean an accountability partner, a friend that's not going to, take your BS, call you out on your bull crap, and it's going to tell you like it is when that time is needed, but it's also going to love you, support you, and be your biggest fan. If you can have a friend that is fits in this accountability partner, man, you've scored in life. I'm fortunate I have some accountability partners in my life. I have some great friends, but I have some great friends that don't mind being real because I think if you have true love for someone as a person, as a human, you can be real. And, I'm an emotional person. Sometimes I get my feelings hurt kind of easily. And sometimes it's not easy. I have to evaluate, but I've grown in this environment system because of having accountability people around me. If you're going to be successful, if you're going to climb the ladder in life, if you're going to be around highly functioning, successful people, more than likely you're going to have an accountability partner that's going to call you out on your bull crap. So systems shape identity, but your environment protects it. So, you create this system and these systems, but this environment system protects your overall system. Let that sink in. I know it might sound complicated, but you've created a health system, you created a mental system, you created a mindset system, you created a morning system, but your environment system protects all of that. So that's huge. How do you build your own system? So, how do you build a system that actually works? Well, identify the goal. Where do you want to be in 60, 90 days? Break it down into daily actions. Build this on top of your non negotiables. What can you control every single day? Make it simple. It's not too complicated. Make it simple. If it's simple, you will stick with it. Add accountability. A coach, a friend, a spouse, a team, somebody that's going to help you be accountable. I got my friend Terrence. Me and him are accountability partners. I'm checking on him all the time, and he's always checking on me. He'll text me a couple of days. Hey, man, did you win the morning? He knows I won the freaking morning. Big T, if you're listening or watching, I won the morning, but I love your text when you're checking on me because you know what that tells me? That he's wanting me to be accountable. He's not just assuming that Jay won the day. He's like, hey, man, did you win the day? Did you win the morning? And he knows I did, but he's still checking on me. Man, that's special in a friend right there. And protect the system. When life gets busy, your systems become even more important. Tomorrow, I'm recording this episode. It's coming out. This episode will come out on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, I'm having surgery on my bicep tendon tomorrow. Man, if I didn't have systems in place, this would be a dumpster fire. I'm 150 pounds down. I walk about 4 to 5 miles a day, walk a mile in the morning. I do my, afternoon walks. I work out every day, hike every Saturday. I mean, I'm pretty active. I had to create a system to protect my non negotiables and my overall system for post surgery. I created that. I shared that with two of my friends to be accountable. I shared it with two of my great friends and shared my 8 week post op system for after this surgery. I tore I have a tear. I told you guys about this on the last episode that I was having an MRI done. Well, came back, it's an 80% tear and I have to have surgery. I was meeting with a surgeon that next day after I recorded that episode. Well, comes find out I got to have surgery. So I'm not going to be able to do anything with his left arm for about 8 weeks in terms of lifting and everything else. So I developed a system where I can do extreme cardio. I can do the Stairmaster. I can do a lot of legs. I can, I'm going to try to win the day every day, and I'm going to do it. I'm not trying. I'm going to do it because I created a system to do it. And that's big because, life throws curveballs, sometimes knuckleballs, sometimes sinkers at us, and we got to be able to hit it. So don't just feel bad. Don't just, don't just lay in this self-pity. Hey, create a system to hit the curveball. Protect it. Protect the system. The power of tiny wins. Tiny wins changed my life. Not big offense, not big moments, no dramatic motivation, but tiny wins. Drinking water instead of soda. Going on a 15-minute walk around lunch when I had ate my lunch at my office. Praying on the way to work. 5 a.m. with my walking partner Chris. Putting yourself in the right environment. These tiny things, all these tiny wins were part of the system overall that I created to put myself in place to have success. Your life changes slowly, then suddenly. Think about that right there. Your life changes slowly, then suddenly. When the day, when the week, when the month, when your life. Look, I'm winning my life. This is not a fad. This is not a 1 year deal or 2 year deal. I have transformed my mind with non-negotiables. Then I put in a system in place that protects my mornings, my mental state, my environment, my health. And then I'm going to win my life because of all this. Does it mean that things not going to happen? I just told you guys I got to have surgery tomorrow. I'm, I'm not nervous about the surgery. I'm anxious and I'm apprehensive about the post surgery recovery and what it's going to do for me. But you know what? All I can do is trust my systems. All I can do is trust the process. I talked to a good friend of mine, Chris Allison. Is an amazing physical therapist here in the Birmingham area. He's like, "Hey man, you're going to be good. We're going to get you back rolling." And I made a system, for post operation, 8 weeks. And then after 8 weeks, I can continue on doing some lifting and different things. I'm going to trust my system just like I trusted all these systems to lose 150 pounds to get to where I am. Is it going to be hard? I'm sure it's going to be hard. There are going to be days where it's going to be tough and it's going to suck. Probably so. I will talk about it on the upcoming shows. I would like to tell you it's going to be just amazing and my recovery is going to be great. And I hope so. But I'm sure it's going to be tough because any surgery, recovery, and all these things are tough. But I'm going to battle because I have systems to protect my mind, to protect my health, to protect my environment. And then I have a system just for this surgery. I'm going to win the day. So, you know, remember this: motivation is a feeling, systems are a lifestyle. Build one system this week, just one, and it will change your life. Build one system, just that one. Look, this episode, not very long, 30 something minutes today, but these 30 something minutes have a lot of value and substance in them. Take this episode and apply it to your life. Ask yourself, what systems do I need to create? Do I need to create an environmental system, a mindset system, a health system? I hope you already got your non-negotiables if you're following along with my episodes. If you haven't got your non-negotiables, do that first and then build these systems on top of your non-negotiables, because the systems is what helps you to do the non-negotiables every day, no matter what. I told my wife and I told my best friend Chris that walks with me every day. I said, Chris, I'm having surgery Wednesday. Thursday morning, I'll meet you at the lake 5 a.m. He started laughing. He says, we'll see about that. I said, well, I built a system, and in my system, it says I can walk the next day. I have three dogs. One of them 70-pound pit bull American Staffy. He's 70 pounds of pure unadulterated muscle. He's going to be tough to walk one-handed with my other bully breed leopard dog Catahoula mix, Gracie. And, that's going to be a challenge one-handed. Luckily, Chris will walk the other dog, Henry. But right now, as I record this episode, I plan on being at the lake the next day. So I challenge you. Build a system this week. Build one, just one system, not the three or four that I have. That's taken a year and a half to do. Build one system and stick to it. Look, remember, motivation comes and goes. It's just a feeling. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. A lot of people get motivated to clean the house or spring cleaning and all. I mean, why has it got to be called spring cleaning? Why can't you just clean all the freaking time? Why has it got to be spring cleaning? Why? Because motivation is a feeling. It starts getting pretty outside. The flowers are blooming and people raise the windows and they're spring cleaning. But if you're disciplined, if you have a system to be organized, you're organized all the time. Think about that. Systems are a lifestyle. Build one this week. I appreciate each one of you guys. Love you guys. Go out, win the day. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Win the Day with Jay. This is Jay Bird, and I'm out.